it for this planning and zoning meeting for 3:30. Mr. Gambrell, do you want to start the first case?
I was going to ask Ashley to read the case if she would.
Okay.
Is that okay, Acri?
It appears she might have stepped away from her desk.
I've got it here. I can read it.
Okay. All right.
So we're just going straight into the second item on the agenda.
That's the only item we have to deal with, isn't it?
Okay. Yes, sir. So yeah, my name is Tim Gambrell. I serve as the chief planner for the city of Birmingham. And this item on the agenda is a proposed declaration of covenants and restrictions for properties located at 1231 and 1235 23rd Street South. This modifies existing covenants imposed by a settlement agreement between the city of Birmingham and Serodia Permit PC executed in 1992 for these properties. And that's all I have.
Okay. Do we have, I guess, the applicant available to give us some additional information?
Yes, good afternoon, Councilman. This is Charlie Beavers. I'm counsel to the applicant, and we have also Jamie Watkins and Chris Holden. We're all in the room together here. They are with the applicant, and we also have the folks who are the contract purchasers of the subject property, who, if you have any questions of them, they would be available to answer as well. And if I may, I'll just add to what Mr. Gambrell just gave you by saying that the agreement, the settlement agreement that was entered into a number of years ago, back in 1992, between the city and the then owner of this property, allowed the development of the property at issue. This is a property on 23rd Street. Allowed the development of that property for office or parking, surface parking, or parking deck, notwithstanding the zoning. The zoning of the property is actually R6 residential. This agreement's been in place for many years, and again would allow that kind of development notwithstanding the zoning. The property owner, my client, has a purchaser for the property who wants to develop it in strict compliance with the R6 residential zoning and the overlay that is applicable in that particular district. In order to allow him to develop it in that manner, we are proposing an agreement which would remove this particular property from the impact of that settlement agreement. There are other properties which are the subject of that agreement which would not be removed, and the agreement would continue to remain in place with respect to those properties. Under the agreement that we propose to be entered into with the city, all of the protections that are applicable to the 23rd Street property would remain in place with respect to height. There's a height limitation, and there are provisions with respect to protection of the surface water drainage in the area. All of those would be strictly complied with and continued in the agreement that we propose. There is one difference with respect to the development for residential purposes, and that comes with the setbacks. The setbacks under the original agreement were to be consistent with the outline of a parking lot that is on the property. And instead, this amendment would allow the setbacks to be different from that and consistent with the R6 zoning and the overlay. So the impact of what we're proposing is to remove any possibility or any right of the property owner to develop for these more intense uses, and then would free the property up to be developed, but still in compliance with the height and other limitations with respect to drainage of the property for a real nice R6 residential development. That's kind of a brief summary. We can give you some details about the document. We can give you some details about the development if you would like to hear those.
No, we're gathering information at this point. Is anyone else, I guess, on before I turn it over and
Yeah, Mr.
ask?
Chairman,
Yes, ma'am. I was gonna see if anybody else, and then turn it over to you, Ms. Abbott. Go ahead. You have any? Ms. Abbott,
yeah,
go
I
ahead.
just wanted, I just wanted to ask if they could put up the drawing that shows the extent of the changes to the, well, the building footprint obviously is going to go beyond the outlines of the parking lot, which was in the settlement and which is what you're wanting to change. So can you show us the drawing that shows the extent of the expansion beyond the parking lot?
Yes, ma'am.
We can. I don't have the ability to share my screen. Does somebody need to give me that permission? All right.
I just passed you the presenter privileges.
Okay. So the mouse that you can see here, this is the boundary of the parking area. It's kind of weird. It does this little loop and comes back, but the back boundary is here. There is 44 feet between the edge of the asphalt and the property line. And these one level flats, which the developer is building one level so that they can attract some senior purchasers, not have stairways or whatever in it, and they need a little more ground floor. So it extends from this boundary by 19 feet. So you still have 25 feet between the back lot and the property line.
And that is within the requirements of the R6 zoning and the requirements of the overlay.
Okay, I'm having a hard time seeing the outline of the current parking lot. It's the setbacks are in red, the ones required in R6, and the outline.
Yeah, the parking
I'm-
lots. So this is 23rd Street here. This is the entrance.
Can you see
Okay.
where her mouse is moving up and down?
That's what I'm having trouble seeing. It's little and tiny. Of course, obviously on a computer screen, it's little and tiny, and I'm having trouble seeing where it's jumping around.
So this is the edge. If you can see the mouse that's moving right here.
Okay, I
This
see
would
it.
be even with the edge right here. This is the edge of the parking asphalt.
Okay, okay, I see it now. I see it now. It's just there's so much on the drawing, it's hard to.
Yes, ma'am. This is the back edge of the flats. If you can see the mouse kind of moving there.
Okay, that's where the embankment drops off to the, I guess it's the east. Doesn't it,
Uh,
isn't there a pretty good drop off there?
There is a drop off down to Milner Crescent, yes. The property line is where you see these numbers, 106.98,
Yeah,
214 point, that's the property line right there. So from the edge of the asphalt to the back of the flat building is 19 feet beyond the asphalt parking lot. There still remains another 25 feet down to the edge of the property line. So it's a total of 44 feet there.
will there be a retaining wall or anything?
Al?
We're asked to see if Al Worthington can respond to that.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, okay, great. Yeah, there will be a small retaining wall at the back of those two buildings on the eastern side of the property. There'll also be extensive landscaping that's not there today. We plan to do extensive evergreens and landscaping to really make that area attractive. Right now, it's just kind of overgrown bushes. So we really have to really enhance that area.
That's good, because it is sort of an eyesore right now if you're able to see it.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Okay, so you're going beyond the paved parking lot, 19 feet on that side, and what about the other two sides? Or three sides, actually?
Well, we're within, as you can see on the northern side, we're within the boundaries of the parking. Jamie, I get.
Yeah, that's here.
Yeah, okay, we're within it there. On the front, we're on the setback. On the western side, we're sitting on the setback, which is, I think that's 5 feet, which is required by zoning. And then on the southern side, you can see that we're well within the boundaries up where the brownstones are on 23rd Street. And there is one protrusion to the south side of the flats that you can see. That's a garage. So that would be the only place we're outside of the parking lot other than the eastern side.
Okay.
And one other thing that might be good for you guys, good information, the setbacks on the settlement agreement are 35 feet. So we intend to, of course, stay within that. And so the brownstones up on 23rd Street are right under, I think they're 33.
The height, not setback.
I'm sorry. The height of the buildings there on 23rd Street are right under the 35-foot setback. The other buildings, excuse me, I'm sorry. The height limit, I can't even think. It's my age, I'm sorry. Anyway, the other buildings, the flats and the building on the northern side are well below the 35-foot height limitation. So not only are we building much fewer buildings than allowed by zoning, we're much below, in most cases, well below the height limitations.
Okay, well, I participated in that neighborhood meeting when you showed all of your, when you did your last presentation, and it wasn't clear at that time to me that we as in you were exceeding the boundaries of the current paved parking lot. So I just was wanting to be sure, because I don't think the neighborhood was aware that you were exceeding, at least the neighborhood president, when I called her, was not aware that the covenants had to be changed because of exceeding the current outline of the current paved lot that's there. So I just want to make sure I know, and I also want to make sure they know.
Right. If we didn't articulate that well, we apologize, but clearly the drawing shows that it's outside that parking. The other good news there, Valerie, is that those buildings are really flats. They're really one story. We've got a design that makes them look more like a two-story to keep the development consistent, but the actual living space is all on the first floor. So I think that would make everybody more comfortable, and it will be very pretty.
Well, and since this is in a historic district, you'll be going through design review anyway, and so
Correct.
that will be a second bite at the apple as far as appearance is concerned.
And just so you know, Valerie, we've had Lauren Barrett, who you saw on the call the other night, our architect, and all of us have had a conversation with members of the historic committee. We've had a great conversation with them. They made a lot of great suggestions. I think that they'll be very pleased with what we're going to end up with.
Okay. And one other question, and I'm sorry, Mr. President, if I'm asking too many questions, but I want
No,
to
that's
make
what
sure
we
that
want. No. I
this,
want you to ask questions, and I'm taking your guidance.
yeah, this property is divided between the Highland Park Neighborhood Association and the Redmont Park Neighborhood Association. So I obviously attend the Highland Park meetings and Redmont when they have them. Have you contacted the Redmont neighborhood about this project?
We've had 2 calls with them, and we have not had a Zoom call yet, but we've talked with the leadership.
Jay Reed.
Jay Reed,
Spoke to Jay Reed.
and he's delighted with our elevations and delighted with our plan.
He was gonna try to, we were gonna try to have him on the call today, and he had a conflict. But yeah, we had an initial discussion with him, and he seemed real excited about it, and you know, gave us the information we needed to kind of move forward with Redmont.
Okay, so you will be having a Zoom meeting with them to show that neighborhood what your plans are?
Yes. He just hasn't set it up yet.
Okay, okay.
Okay. So let
Well,
me.
as
so
long
you
as,
threw-
yeah, as long as that is done before the city council meeting when we actually take our vote, everything should be fine.
We hope so. We're real excited. We think we've got something to really add to the neighborhood.
Thought I had my sound turned off. I apologize. Okay, that's all the questions I have at this time, Mr.
Okay,
President.
so what I want to make sure, I'm trying to just figure out homework assignments as it relates to when you anticipate meeting with all these different neighborhoods. Because once we set a public hearing, just say they have another issue and you make some kind of put an additional queue condition, you have to start all over again. You know, so at what point do you, how long is it going to take you to meet with all the different neighborhoods and that kind of thing?
It's my understanding that there's 2. There's the Highland Park and the Redmont. We've already had a conversation maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago with Elizabeth and her group at Highland Park. That went well, and we had a real broad discussion.
Okay, but when you say a conversation, did they take a vote?
No, they haven't officially voted.
Okay. All right. Conversation is one thing, a vote is another thing.
Yes,
So at what point? What point do you anticipate having? You know, because the question is going to be, okay, did the neighborhood vote? Yeah, they voted 20-0. A conversation is a conversation. A vote is a little different. So when I'm saying, give me, Ms. Abbott, do you know when those meetings are going to occur over the next? You think 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or?
Okay, this is the situation. The neighborhood was told by the historic preservation arm of City Hall and PEP not to take a vote because this was in a historic district and design review would be the one to, you know, basically make the decisions as far as the appearance of the buildings. The neighborhood was generally satisfied. The only request I have is that the applicants get back with Elizabeth Sanfilippo, the neighborhood president, to make sure that at least their planning and zoning committee of the neighborhood is well versed in this deal about the development exceeding the footprint of the parking lot. Because I didn't feel like that was clear in the meeting where y'all made your presentation. And I think it's important that everybody understand, because no developer ever wants people to think that they were, you know, hoodwinked or anything. I mean, you know, you want everything out on the table, and you want to make sure that they understand that there will be new declaration of covenants and restrictions due to the fact that the development is exceeding the footprint of the parking lot. So my suggestion or my request is that y'all get back with the neighborhood president and just meet with whatever group she has to discuss this and make sure everybody is on board and understands the situation. Because, there's great sensitivity about that settlement agreement. I mean, I know you know that. I don't think there's anybody who doesn't know that there's great sensitivity. So in order to make this fly, I think that you need to have met with the Redmont neighborhood and then meet with whatever subgroup of the Highland Park neighborhood needs to review this before it comes to the council meeting. Now, we can set the date, PEP can set the date for the council meeting, and you can just make sure that you have all your I's dotted and your T's crossed before that date.
Do we know when the Redmont meeting is, next Redmont meeting is? Anybody have that calendar?
Redmont meets on the 4th Tuesday of every month, but they've been sort of erratic since the pandemic has stricken us all. So Jay Reed, I'm sure, could just set up a meeting, possibly on their meeting date, but possibly a different meeting date.
We were aware of Highland Park's hesitancy to hold the vote because of the Historic Preservation Committee. So in talking to Elizabeth, we weren't really sure how we got to a vote on that. So do we just go back? We just go back to her and request a vote?
Well, I'm not really sure I understood why the neighborhood should not have taken a vote. They could just say they were either generally in support of the project or something. I wasn't 100% clear on the reason for not having a vote, except that I know that in a historic district, design review takes purview over everyone else as far as their opinion and their ruling about what is good and what is not good and what needs to stay and what needs to be changed. So that's the only reason that I can understand that it was suggested they not take a vote. But I would think that they could take a vote of some sort. I mean, they might not have, we approve the project, or just we're in support of this concept and we think new neighbors will be a wonderful thing in our neighborhood, something to that effect.
Elizabeth is on the chat. Is there any way we can allow her to speak?
And this is Julie Bernard. May I was trying to bring attention that Ms. Sanfilippo was trying to speak through the chat also. And if I may, I just would kind of like to posture this and what the city's legal position in this is. This is not a rezoning. This is purely an adjustment of an agreement that was met between the city and the prior owner of the property. It was related to the city having rezoned the property in the early 90s. That put some restrictions on the law firm Cerodium Permit, and they sued. The settlement agreement came out of that zoning litigation and had certain conditions in it. This is, strictly an agreement between the council and the owner. Well, it was strictly an agreement between the council and the property owner, and it was binding on successive owners of the property, which 2222 Arlington Company LLC is the subsequent owner. And they have agreed they want to be out of the main settlement agreement and covenants. As Mr. Beavers pointed out, there were some things that were allowed in that probably would not be desirable in the neighborhood. There were also the height, the stormwater limitations, the things that are being retained that the city thought would be desirable to the community. So the owner of the property, 2222 Arlington Company LLC, has agreed to record these covenants to maintain that piece of it, but let them out of the piece that requires the footprint of the parking lot to define any future development, so that is it. This is not something that will be subject to queue conditions, to advertising, publication, or anything like that. It will go strictly to the council to say whether or not we want to agree to this new declaration of covenants that will release this piece of the property out of that 1992 settlement agreement and covenants. And
So does this have to be a
that is
public
strictly.
hearing?
It is not strictly a public hearing, no, but we wanted to be sure that the neighborhood understands what is happening. As Councilor Abbott pointed out, there's a lot of sensitivity about the protections of those original covenants on not just this property, but the main bulk of the property where the old Sorority office building was. And there is development planned there, and we are leaving the covenants on that property where it applies. So this is just strictly getting them out of part of the restriction, but keeping the majority of the restrictions there, which the developer had already planned in compliance with those restrictions as it was. So it's not a public hearing. It's not something to be published in the paper like we would a rezoning. The council is welcome to ask for public input on anything it wants. And I'm not certain, I haven't had a chance to look into the whole thing about the comments that were made about the Historic District and Design Review Committee. Yes, it would be subject to Design Review Committee. That doesn't prevent the neighborhood from saying, in my opinion, from saying, what it thinks about the proposed development. The neighborhood vote is merely a courtesy and advisory. It has no impact on what actually happens. DRC makes the final decision about whether it complies with the design guidelines for that historic district. And the council generally wants to know what the neighboring community has to say about certain things. So again, this was settlement of litigation. It's something for the council to decide, and the council is welcome to determine the degree of participation they want, but we wanted it to be transparent as to what was happening.
Okay. All right. With that, you think in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, y'all can have met with all of with the various neighborhoods, whether it's Southside or Howland?
Redmont.
Redmont
Redmont and Highland Park are the two neighborhoods that are splitting the property.
And is it my understanding that with Highland, since we've met with them, that we should get the president to get this, the opinion or input from the president and perhaps the zoning committee there, since we've met with that full group?
Yeah, that would be my thought, but somebody said Mrs. Sanfilippo is on the call, and so if she's on the call, we could hear from her. I see her. She just went by.
It seems like she's on the chat, but it seems like maybe we can't hear her or she can't speak.
She has been bumped up to a panelist, so she should be able to speak. Ms. Sanfilippo, if you have connected your computer to the audio system, you should be able to, we just saw in the chat, she says she cannot speak on her computer. She's trying to speak on her phone.
Well, I would think
somebody maybe can call.
Do we think that within a 2-week period, we would be able to accomplish getting with the Highlands president, Ms. Sanfilippo, and also have a meeting with Redmont? Does that give us enough time? Al, Al Worthington, you've been in touch with Redmont. What kind of time do you get that done?
We will move to get it done as quick as possible. I think if we had the remainder of this week and next week, we will shoot to get it done by the end of next week. How's that? I mean, I don't know because I haven't talked to them, but I know.
Here's what we can do. Here's what we can do, because we can call a special call meeting if you need 2 weeks. Because the good thing about this, and Councilor, you can back me up, you don't have to, we don't have to set a time, we don't have to set a date and then wait 3 weeks to have a public hearing on it. So, you know, if you want to say, you know, we can give ourselves an unofficially 2 weeks. If you need an additional week, you know, we can convene a meeting, you know, even on a Friday, and then, you know, move it, advance it forward for, you know, we'll consider that within the, you know, by the following Tuesday. So why don't you all, you know, we can say 2 weeks, but if you need 2.5 weeks, just communicate with us, and you know, I think we can kind of, you know, get a meeting called. I'm sure Mr. Gambrell, Miss Bernard, we can get a committee meeting called, and then try to advance it before that following Tuesday. Since it's simply a basis, just it's an agreement. It's the modification of agreement between you know, between the city and the third party. So we wouldn't have to go through the advertising process, according to Attorney Bernard.
So I'm just asking the question, if we were to say we're going to target getting all this done by, and then set a certain council hearing date, do we need to have another meeting? We're happy to meet whenever you all want us to do that.
Yeah, we'll call we'll have another committee meeting, but that committee meeting, for example, that committee meeting could be, as long as, you know, Councilor Abbott and myself, and if we're still virtual, I mean, you know, we could have a meeting on a Friday afternoon, and then this could possibly go before the council that following Tuesday. Or we could meet on a Monday morning and have this item before the council on the following day. So I'm saying, I think the most important thing is to make sure the neighborhoods, you know, whatever time you need to get those neighborhoods to meet with them, then, you know, just we communicate back, and we can make some, yeah, we can work within some time frames.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, this is Valerie again. You know, my thought is that we don't even have to have another meeting. If both neighborhoods, if both neighborhoods have been informed and are satisfied, they could just let us know that, and we could go ahead and put it on the council agenda, because, you know, you certainly know as well as I do, we have plenty of meetings, and I'm sure these folks are in a hurry to get moving on their project.
Yeah,
the main thing we want is for the neighborhoods to be informed and satisfied that their questions are answered. And I'll be glad to be on those meetings with them if anyone, you know, if that'll help. But I don't think we really have to have another meeting ourselves. We just want the neighborhood people to be comfortable that everything is right and in order. And beyond that, we can move ahead.
Yeah.
So
so as soon as you all meet with the neighborhoods, just notify us, and Attorney, I guess Attorney Bernard, you'll be running point on this one. Attorney Bernard.
Yes, sir. I've been in communication with Mr. Beavers on it, so we can communicate on that.
Yeah, as soon as you hear from them that, you know, the neighborhoods, you know, if y'all can get the neighborhoods together between now and Monday, I mean, this could go as early as Tuesday. So I'm just saying, just as soon as you all can get both neighborhoods, you know, you had additional communication with them. Attorney Bernard and Mr. Gambrell, they know how to communicate. They'll communicate with the clerk's office and Administrator Kidd and Deputy McDaniels. And, you know, if y'all meet Monday, everybody's good, you know, we could move Tuesday.
Yeah, I don't think that will happen. I don't think that will happen.
I know, but I was just giving them an example of, I just want to give them an example of where we are.
Yeah, we can move ahead as quickly as possible.
We'll work along with you on stuff. So, but I think the main thing right now is just to focus on those focus on the neighborhoods, and then just, Attorney Bernard will keep us in communication.
We certainly appreciate the cooperation. Thank you so much.
Is that good? Okay.
That's
All right.
wonderful. Yes, thank you very much. We'll proceed and get with you. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Is that, Council Abbott, you just want to make a motion now? We just send it on, just pending some communication with the neighborhoods, or how do you want to do it?
I'll make a motion that we send it with no recommendation, pending a meeting with each of the neighborhoods, and so it can go ahead and get on the council agenda.
I second that
we'll work
motion.
along. Okay, all right, now second. Okay, all in favor? Say
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, all righty. And, so we'll work along. Attorney Bernard and them, they know what to do, and then we'll work through it.
Well, we want to
Okay.
thank you very much for getting with us and working this out. And we'll proceed
Okay.
on with these neighborhoods and report. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, thank
All right.
you.
Okay,
Same here.
all right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right. I think that's it for now.
Mr.
Ms.
Mr.
Gamble-
Chairman,
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Chairman, we didn't approve our meeting minutes from the last meeting.
Okay, I don't know that they're ready. I don't have them in front of me, and I'm not.
Okay, I just wanted you to know that we need to defer that since we didn't do
Okay, well,
it.
let's make if you'll just make it just to defer the minutes.
Yeah, I move that we defer approval of the meeting minutes from our
Second.
last
Okay, all right,
meeting.
second. Okay. All right, we will defer the reading, those approval of the minutes. Okay,
And
All right.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
okay, second. All right. Okay, everybody be safe.